Hey, everybody, it's Luke Robinson with Locked On Bama. I want to thank everybody for being very, very patient with us right now. Jimmy is under the weather. He's had a bit of a medical thing. He's fine. We should be good to go for tomorrow. I just wanted to let everybody know because have had a few people reach out and say that, hey, we expected a Locked On Bama today. These are usually one on a Sunday, and that's true. And with so much going on, I'm sorry we couldn't get it done, but Jimmy's going to be okay. But it was a medical thing. I'll let him tell you, if he wants to talk about it. But regardless, I thought it'd be good to jump on here for a minute if anybody's got any comments or any questions. Frankly, I'm like everybody. I think the good thing about not having a podcast these last couple of days is that it's given me some time just to chill out and kind of reflect on this. Look, Greg Byrne doesn't have that luxury, and the new coaches certainly don't have that luxury. But I do, and some of the fans do, and I probably needed it just to get my head around everything. Look, I'm like the rest of y'all. Alabama football, Alabama basketball, Alabama sports in general, and the University of Alabama in general is a big part of my life. Means a lot to me, and so I want it to be as successful as possible. You want to act like we live and die with everything. We don't necessarily do that, but to also pretend like the success of Alabama does not I don't know, even affect our mood is also crazy. I think if you're a fan, it's always going to be that way. But I did want to talk a little bit about, I know there's some rumors out there about Travaris Robinson perhaps coming back to Alabama. That would be wonderful. Gregory Wilson chimes in. Is it true that Jalen Milroe is transferring? No, I do not believe that. In fact, I hadn't heard that. So I'd be shocked if that were happening. Grubb, the new offensive coordinator, is a home run hire. Jason Dill, one thing that I thought about, and again, I haven't gotten into this too deeply, but as you know now, Fish, the coach at Arizona, has taken the Washington job. I wonder if Arizona will look at Grubb to take that job. I hadn't even looked into it yet, but it's just something that came to mind. I'm going to tell you, just going back a little bit to yesterday. God, it feels like yesterday's press conference was 400 days ago, doesn't it? I mean, it really does. I thought that Kalen DeBoer knocked it out of the park. I thought that he was gracious. I thought that he was at the same time very thankful for everything that the Sabans have done, this opportunity, and at the same time exuded a sense of leadership. I think you could be almost too gracious. If you remember, I guess hindsight's 50-50, as Pat Dye said, but I remember when Mike DeBose took the stand, and he was almost so incredibly overwhelmed by the moment that I was like, ooh, this isn't a good look. Because you want somebody that's thankful to be there, thankful for the opportunity, and at the same time, they understand, yeah, I can handle this. Because if you're so thankful, if you're overly thankful, it may look like the moment's too big for you, the job's too big for you. Levi Raker says, what have you heard about defensive coaches? I think Travaris Robinson is going to be one that we're waiting to hear. Look, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I know that's a possibility. So I'm sort of waiting with everybody else there. Jason Dill says, is T-Rob coming back? Look, I'm not saying he's 100% coming back. I'm saying there is a possibility. I hope that he does. I think it'd be wonderful if he did. Just saw an interview with Ryan Williams on BOL, where Jimmy usually is contributing. And Ryan Williams, it certainly seems like he's going to give Alabama a huge shot. And with Isaiah Bond leaving, that's another thing I want to talk about. I'm just talking off the cuff here, guys, because I was trying to get Jimmy to do a pod this afternoon. I've been trying all day, but he actually spent a little time in the hospital. He's fine. I'll reiterate, he's fine. But he just had to spend a little time in the hospital, not even overnight. But he said he's not good for today. He'll be good for tomorrow. So hopefully that'll be fine. But going back to Isaiah Bond here for a second, I think we will always – here's the deal. There's some people that are upset with Isaiah Bond, and I get it. I hate the way that this went down, that he transfers to Texas and that this agent is like acting on his behalf or, and apparently not just acting on his behalf, he's doing things on his behalf. I hate that in one sense. In another sense, this is the new normal that we're all going to have to deal with. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think Isaiah Bond made quote unquote a business decision, and I think there'll be other people that do that both ways. I think it's sort of hypocritical if we're mad at Isaiah Bond. To me, if you're then you also need to be mad at Kalen DeBoer, right? Because he came to Alabama, took a better opportunity, more money. I don't know that Texas is necessarily a better opportunity, but if I'm Isaiah Bond, I may look at it like, okay, who do I want throwing the football to me, Quinn Ewers or Jalen Milroe? Now, Jalen Milroe threw him some incredible deep balls. There's no doubt about it. At the same time, if you watch the Rose Bowl, I mean, Alabama didn't have a lot of opportunities like that. Bond didn't have a lot of opportunities to show the world what he could do. And I think Steve Sarkisian probably sold him on we can do that. Now, if you want to be mad that Texas was tampering, hey, more power to you. I would also argue that Alabama tampers too. I don't have an example to give you, but if we're not tampering, we're not trying. That's just the way it is. I'm trying to read some of your comments. You see any way Charles Kelly comes back? I don't. He just got to Auburn. And George Scott says, so there's a possibility T-Rob comes back. Yes, there is a possibility of that. I'm not saying it's going to happen. And I think it'd be huge if he did. I really wanted him on this staff. Justin B. Shelton says, I love putting these comments up here, by the way. With the Knoblauch news, do you think there's an instant impact opportunity for Caleb Odom? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And in fact, let me say this about the good news about the Bond thing. It does leave the receiver room rather inexperienced, right? I mean, now all of a sudden you're talking about Kendrick Law, who is much more potential than production to this point in his career. I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm saying that as the truth. Kobe Prentice, who has shown some signs of promise at times, but I would say he's also disappeared at times, whether that's because we can't get him the ball or because of something he did or the game plan. I don't know. I'm just telling you, sometimes he may go a whole game and I'm like, oh yeah, Kobe Prentice made a catch. Then Jalen Hill. We all love Jalen Hill. We do. We love the play against Ole Miss that sort of put Jalen Hill on the map and put Alabama on a winning course again this year against Ole Miss. But he's disappeared too for a while. I mean, he hadn't necessarily been a guy that we can count on. So the receiver room, and then you bring in some guys, Amari Jefferson. You hopefully bring in Ryan Williams, but that's the point. If you can bring Rico Scott, if you can bring in Ryan Williams with this, you can tell Ryan Williams, hey, dude, you're the guy. You're it. And this is a new offense that is going to be pass happy. Kalen DeBoer said that this is going to be a pass happy offense. I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody that I'm not planning on doing any live reads, planning on doing any commercials for this. This is just me talking to some folks out there who happen to listen to our podcast that we appreciate so much. Big shout out to John today that I saw at Lifetime. If he happens to be watching, I probably won't even put this out for the audio only, because this, again, I'm not following all the protocols. I just don't want, I like that where this podcast has been heading, so I want to keep the momentum going, and I don't want you guys to think like we just fell off the face of the earth because Nick Saban retired. It's really been more about Jimmy got really under the weather, and he's fine, but he should be back tomorrow, but we'll see. So I just want to let everybody know about that. If there are any other questions anybody wants to throw out there. Justin Summerlin says Bond can go. He was always worried about himself. He went to Texas for more NIL. I agree. Okay. While I agree with you, I think that's going to be the case for a lot of folks now. And I think we got to deal with that. It doesn't mean I like it. I just think it's part of it. Let me see. Justin Summerlin said Ryan Williams is good, but he'll still be our freshman. He'll take time to get used to college. Yeah, that's true. And not only is he going to be a freshman, he should be a senior in high school next year. But I've told a lot of people this, and maybe not everybody's heard it, so I'll say it again. There have been two guys. I've been with the AHSA radio network for about 12, I don't know, maybe longer than that. Gosh, I guess more like 15, 16 years, somewhere in there, right? And there have been two guys that I've seen a lot of great ones, but there have been two guys that I've gone, okay, they're going to be stars. I don't have any doubt about it. I mean, everybody else, I could pick something out and say, maybe if this happens, if that happens. Two guys, Ryan Williams and Chris Jones. Chris Jones just played in the playoffs last night for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's awesome. He's unbelievable. And he was unbelievable in that Alabama Mississippi All Star game where I saw him. And then Ryan Williams is the other one. Now, somebody asked about Caleb Downs. My opinion is that Caleb Downs will stick it out at Bama. And I say stick it out makes it seem like he's really having to trudge through it. Now, I think Caleb Downs is going to be well compensated. I think Caleb Downs is going to be the leader of the team. And I think we can make this Caleb Downs thing work. And I think it be mutually beneficial between he and Alabama. Amari Knobloch in the portal. Okay. I mean, I think, boy, y'all know Jimmy and I have always been big Amari Knobloch fans, right? I mean, huge Amari Knobloch fans. But let's also be completely transparent and honest now. I mean, the production doesn't equal his reputation right now. He might be able to equal that. Those things might be able to equal each other somewhere else under new leadership, no doubt about it. I think Amari Knobloch's a pro. I think he can be in the NFL. But the thing is, here he's been good. He's been good, really good. But has he even been OJ Howard? Has he been? Shoot, I mean, there's some even the more less heralded tight ends in the Nick Saban era that have been just as good. So I'm not panicking about that. Again, I'm not trying to discount Amari Knobloch in the least. I think he's going to be fantastic, and I think he's an NFL guy. But I like Caleb Odom a lot too. And if you're telling me, hey, Luke, you can either have Amari Knobloch next year or you can take a chance on Caleb Odom, I'm 6-1, half dozen another. I'm not saying I would. I can see the argument for both. As you can see, the Cowboys, I think they're getting blitzed behind me. They are. That was a good bet by me, wasn't it? Somebody says, where did you hear that T-Rob come back? I mean, I just like everybody else. I know people that know people, and I can also read some tea leaves. I don't know that he's necessarily going to come back. In fact, I don't even know that I'd bet on it. I'm just saying it's a possibility. So Lee Thomaston said, Luke, does Saban get involved in NIL? I think Saban's going to be involved to some extent in a lot of things right here at the very beginning. I think he's going to try and have a gradual exodus, which is very helpful. I think this is a positive thing. Most times, I would say they need to get gone. I said this, about Auburn and Cadillac Williams. Honestly, Cadillac Williams gone with Auburn now. So, but I said when Auburn decided to hire Hugh Freeze over Cadillac, that I thought it'd be much better to let Cadillac exit gracefully, because I just thought that'd be the way to go. But obviously something else has happened. But in this particular case, for Nick Saban, who's been at Alabama for so long, I think that it's going to be a lot better if he hangs around and if he can assist with the transition. The one thing about DeBoer, having been at Washington so long, he may not know the South very well at all. It's a big difference from South Dakota to South Alabama. So I think having Nick Saban there to assist him with this transition, when normally you want your old coach gone so this guy can create his own culture, I think this is okay. Trying to read some of these others very, very quickly. Glenn Schumann or Jesse Minner for DC. A big fan of both, but really like Glenn Schumann a lot. Would love that. Fish hired by Washington. Yes, I talked about that earlier. So that sort of does make me wonder about Grubb potentially on the Arizona side. I don't know, though. But boy, isn't it funny when these dominoes fall, that you kind of see where your team is in the pecking order. I mean, I don't mean this as a shot at Washington, but I had the Locked On Huskies guy. You guys should go check it out. The Locked On Huskies guy, and I did a crossover, and you could just see the look in his face like, man, we just made the national championship and y'all come in and take our coach. And that it sort of, it's a little bit of a dagger. Hey, I've been there, by the way, when Alabama was lower on the totem pole and Texas A&M came in and took Franchione. Now, we don't really like Dennis Franchione, but it did tell us where we were in the pecking order for the college football landscape at that time. Going to miss Will Reichert. Somebody says, yeah, you're dang right about that. If there's any one guy that would come back, if you told me I could have Isaiah Bond or Will Reichert back, that's a no-brainer. I'm taking Will Reichert back all day, every day, no questions asked, beyond the shadow of a doubt. Somebody says the fact that Saban is still in the building keeps Downs grounded at Bama potentially. I think that doesn't hurt. So I feel like this is going about as well as it could. There are a lot of other guys that could have been in the transfer portal, and Alabama's not going to be done in the portal. That's another thing. I mean, there's another round of portaling for people to come and go, and we'll see that after the spring. I think let's see how this spring goes. One thing I would definitely recommend is everybody plan on going to the spring game. Let's have a big showing again. I know it's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world to do. Sometimes it is sort of out of character at that time of year, but we packed it out a few times for Saban. Let's pack it out for DeBoer. He deserves this. This is not a third, fourth, fifth choice people. This is a good coach. I think we're all going to like him. Understand if there's some trepidation about him. I totally get that. I want to throw one other thing out there for a sign off. And again, hopefully Jimmy will be on with me tomorrow. But the basketball team, look, huge props to the basketball team. And I know we've got so much going on with football. It's kind of hard to focus on basketball right now. The only two teams in the SEC that are undefeated in the league play is Alabama and Auburn. Says a lot about the state of Alabama basketball. And Mark Sears is just putting this whole team on his back. So much fun to watch. Grant Nelson, he's got a long way to come offensively. Again, it feels like he is so out of his element right now, and he's just lost a lot of confidence. Defensively, though, he gave a plus effort. And he's not, I don't even think he's a great defender. I just think he gave all the effort he could give last night against Tolu Smith, who is bigger, stronger, better post player. And I think when he exerts that much energy on the defensive side, Grant Nelson, I think that may come at the sacrifice of some of his offensive prowess. But regardless, Alabama goes on the road and gets a win. And I know Mississippi State is not one of the more powerhouse teams in the SEC right now. I know Vanderbilt didn't either. But you've gone on the road now. You've won 2 SEC games. You've got a home game against Missouri on Tuesday night, a Missouri team that has not won a game in league play so far. And then you go on the road to Tennessee. It's going to be a tough road to hoe. I mean, winning in Knoxville is not going to be easy. This Tennessee team's good. But then you come home and play Auburn on a Wednesday. And boy, that's going to be unbelievable atmosphere. At least I hope it is. And I'm thinking Alabama probably wins against Missouri on Tuesday. And I'm just going to say they lose Tuesday at Tennessee because I think most teams will. But then you come home and you play Auburn. And if you win that game, you're at no worse tied for the SEC lead. So that's going to be a big one. But look, guys, I appreciate everybody chiming in here, and man, 434 people here. I know everybody's so hungry to still talk about this some more. And boy, I wish Jimmy were here with me because he has a lot more information, and he's with BOL, and he has a lot more contacts. But he really is under the weather. So y'all say a small prayer for him. Nothing big. He's fine. But would appreciate y'all doing that. And we will be back tomorrow with Locked On Bama. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Man, we appreciate you guys so much. Jimmy and I talk about it all the time, how much y'all mean to us that we get to do this and share our thoughts with you guys. And some of y'all at least seem to care what we think, and we really do appreciate you guys a ton. So I'll be back tomorrow with Jimmy. Until then, roll tide, everybody.